In the last hour, a major bust in a human trafficking operation. More than 200 people were arrested in Polk County over a 9-day stretch.
There was a human trafficking component, a child predator component, and an illegal immigration component.
In Florida, one of the largest human trafficking crackdowns in recent history just shattered a massive criminal network. ICE and sheriff units joined forces in a sweeping 9-day operation that ended with over 200 arrests, countless victims rescued, and new insight into how these trafficking rings operate in the digital age. This wasn't a simple sting. It was a coordinated strike that exposed predators, smugglers, and illegal networks hiding in plain sight. Before we go deeper into this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Operation Fool Around and Find Out unfolded across multiple counties in Central Florida, spearheaded by Sheriff Grady Judd, with support from Homeland Security, ICE, and the Florida Attorney General's Office. The mission: dismantle an interlinked web of human trafficking, child exploitation, and illegal immigration. It wasn't just a bust, it was a statement. Officials now call it the largest coordinated anti-trafficking crackdown of 2025. Investigators discovered that around 15% of those arrested were in the country illegally, including suspects from Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico, and Colombia.
They came from Venezuela, Cuba, Honduras, Mexico, Haiti, Colombia, Guatemala. 22 of these folks were receiving government assistance. That's right. We work, we all work, we pay taxes, and then that tax money was given to these folks to use to come commit crime. But I can tell you that about 15% of all of our arrests in the human trafficking operation and our predator operation, about 15% were here illegally in this country. You'll see occupations from military, 1 active Navy, 13 veterans, a medical doctor, a retired NFL player.
So many of the victims that my team and I got to work with shared childhood abuse, time in the foster care system, times their family members were selling them, times that nobody would look and listen.
Among the offenders were active military personnel, 13 veterans, a medical doctor, and even a retired NFL player. The diversity of backgrounds shocked even seasoned agents, proving predators can come from any walk of life. But behind every arrest was a deeper tragedy. Many of the rescued victims shared stories of childhood abuse, years in the foster system, and families that sold them out for money. For some, it was their first glimpse of help after years of silence. The operation launched in the early hours of July 29th, 2025. For months leading up to it, undercover detectives had been tracking encrypted chats, tracing financial transactions, and building online decoy profiles. They used the same digital platforms traffickers relied on to lure victims, logging every click and cross-referencing usernames through state and federal databases. Once a suspect confirmed a meeting, the intel went straight to nearby tactical teams. By dawn, multiple suspects had walked into traps. One man arrived thinking he was meeting a victim, only to be greeted by deputies and ICE agents. He was later linked to 2 murder charges.
One guy we'll discuss had 2 murder charges. And by the way, he spent a long time in prison, but he got out just in time to fool around and find out.
Same pattern played out again and again across 7 days in 2 counties. Fake ads, hotel meetups, and stings that captured predators in real time. One of the most shocking arrests involved Eric Corras, a regional executive for the Red Cross Disaster Relief Program.
Eric Corliss. Eric Corliss is a regional executive for Red Cross Disaster Relief. Think about this. Red Cross does marvelous, beautiful work, and we're so proud of them. But this guy has embarrassed himself and embarrassed his family and embarrassed the Red Cross.
Investigators learned that despite his position of trust, Corras had used his access to vulnerable communities to hide his crime.
He was married to a law enforcement officer, a supervisor in Hillsborough County. That's right. He left his phone at home so his wife, I'm sure a trained detective, wouldn't know where he was.
Even more disturbing, he was married to a law enforcement supervisor whose credentials he allegedly used to conceal his activities.
This didn't appear to be the first time he was experienced at what he did. And he also went to great lengths to try to hide his identity when he was online.
By the time the final suspect was booked, 230 individuals were arrested, facing a combined 371 charges.
They took 8 firearms during this operation from 8 different suspects. 25 people were charged.
Officers confiscated 8 firearms, narcotics, and digital evidence connecting multiple suspects to wider trafficking networks. The youngest arrested was just 17 years old, the oldest 70.
The youngest we arrested was 17, the oldest was 70. Our folks stand in the gap between good and evil.
Sheriff Judd described it bluntly. Our deputies stand between good and evil. Some of these men came armed, ready to harm the very victims they sought. The operation's scale was unprecedented. Agencies involved included ICE enforcement and removal operations, the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division, Florida Department of Financial Services, and nearly a dozen local police departments. Each handled its own jurisdiction, but all intelligence funneled into a single command center for coordination. By the end, detectives had logged 386 new charges, 102 felonies, and 284 misdemeanors.
We filed 386 new charges, 102 felonies, 284 misdemeanors. And once you get over that, understand these folks had as many as 919 previous criminal charges.
Many suspects had lengthy rap sheets, totaling more than 900 prior criminal offenses combined. Out of the total arrests, 111 were confirmed escorts or potential victims. 99 were charged with solicitation, 20 were arrested for trafficking or profiting from exploitation, and 16 men arrived believing they were meeting minors under 18. The professions of those arrested range from doctors and IT technicians to business owners and military veterans. One even held a top-secret federal clearance. Sheriff Judd's message to the public was clear. Evil doesn't wear a uniform. It hides behind one. And that's just one side of the story. Behind every arrest, investigators also found pain. Each booking file contained a form titled Service Referral, connecting victims to outreach organizations like One More Child, Heartland for Children, and My Name, My Voice. These nonprofits provided shelter, counseling, and medical care on the spot. In this operation alone, 90 victims accepted immediate help, and 19 entered long-term recovery programs. Inside the command center, walls of mugshots told one story, but the data told another. Every phone, every payment, every IP address became a breadcrumb leading to larger networks. As Sheriff Judd said, in Florida, we don't close the book on these operations. We reload. Because of how delicate these cases are, every sting includes a mobile crisis unit on site. Advocates wait in nearby vans, ready to step in the moment law enforcement clears a scene. They don't interrogate, they comfort, offering safety, therapy, and a chance to reconnect with family. Florida's anti-trafficking model isn't just winning battles, it's reshaping how America fights modern slavery. And as Sheriff Judd reminded the public, evil doesn't sleep, but neither do we. If you want to stay updated on every new operation, subscribe and turn on notifications. The next major raid could redefine how human trafficking is fought nationwide, and we'll be here to break it down when it happens. Because in this fight, silence helps the criminals. Awareness saves lives.